Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Gals and guys, go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Gals and guys, go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Gals and guys, go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live.
Oh, is everyone here? Hi, everyone. Good morning. How are you today? Welcome to Conversations with God. We are on page 83. Hi, Stephen. How are you? I know a couple of people have already brought the book, and we are on page 83. I wash my hands. You guys didn't know that I'm obsessed with washing my hands. I mean, obsessed. Now that I work at a hotel, I'm more obsessed with washing my hands. I'm making some coffee. I'm not at my desk yet. Hi, Stephen. Nice picture. I found yet another creamer as I was deciding never to use artificial creamers anymore because they're just not doing what I need them to do for me in my coffee. I'm going to switch over half and half. I feel like I was with somebody, but it wasn't. We were over the phone and we were talking. But as we were talking, I found creamer. And I know if I tell you guys are not going to be in agreement. You're going to be like, no, don't do it. I'm going to try one more time before I switch over to a natural creamer, which is, I was going to use heavy cream. That's one of the creamers I was going to use. And I decided not to. So please pray for me. It has 0 calories, 0 carb, 1 gram of carb. 1 gram of carb. There you go. Can't open it. That's the disadvantage of living alone. Hi, Colton. That's a disadvantage of living alone. You can't open things. All right, let's see how this works out for me. And if it works out, then outside. See? It's not bad. Not too bad. It's really hard to get a good cup of coffee. I don't want to say here in the Caribbean because there are coffee places. Who wants to pay for coffee? You could just make it. There you go. All right, I got my coffee and feeling good. How are you two doing? How's everyone doing? Saturday. Oh, Saturday, September 2nd. Hold on, I gotta get my phone before I start because there are people's birthday in this week now. Hey girl and Samara. And Kid Girl, I think you know why I'm calling you a Kid Girl. Although I do like it now that I'm calling you a Kid Girl. Let me just send happy birthdays over to these amazing women. They're Virgos, of course, right? And one of my favorite signs, don't get mad at me, one of my favorite signs are Virgos. Yay. Let me just say happy birthday. What are you guys doing for Labor Day? Can I tell you something? I rarely enjoy Labor Day. I can't remember the last time I've been out on a. This is going to sound really sad, but it really isn't. I can't remember the last time I've been out on a barbecue or anything like that. Oh, I like this. I don't know what that's about. Almost never in like 15 years. And I love barbecues. As long as you don't go on picnics, I love barbecues. And happy birthday. I'm just trying to send gifts to my favorite Virgos in a group. Let's send that one. That's a cute one. I'm just looking at the gifts. I think I'm gonna send something. Hmm. I don't know what to send. Okay, I know I'm being a little quiet, but I am trying to figure it out. Maybe this might be a pretty one with the balloons and stuff. Okay, I'll try this one. This is pretty. Yay! I love birthdays. Oh, I hope there's. I don't know who else could be in my group. You know, I'm a big fan of acknowledging people, right? So when we come from the book club, we call it when somebody comes in, like acknowledge them, right? Say hello. I don't care who's talking, right? But I'm old school, so being old school, we don't go that way, right? It's, like disrespect is not a thing, right? When you're old school, I hate to admit I'm getting old, but I am, and it's okay. I'm convincing myself right now. I'm not telling you It's okay. It's okay. And acknowledging people's birthdays are everything to me. So when I forget someone's birthday, I gotta tell you, it beats me up. Beats me up. They don't know it, but I'm like, damn, it beats me up so bad. All right, guys, what are we doing today? We are on page 82. Hi, Devin. Good morning, fam. It's Super Saturday. Super Saturday. Super Saturday Conversations with God, page 82. Also, tarot classes will begin in September. Please reach out to me, Tracy Brown Live at Gmail. Please reach out to me. Or even let me know in the comments below. So, we're ending at not listening to the soul on page 82. And it's funny, for the first time, or maybe the second week in a row, I had clients that I referred back to the book. Like I had to go get the book and I had to refer back to it. Because I was telling one of my clients, it's one thing to want something, and it's another thing to not listen to your soul. Do you realize that when someone hurts you, that's the one time that you listen to the soul? When you put your soul in pain? Because your mind says this is something that you want and then you don't get it and your body collapses, right? And that's when you listen to your soul the next time, right? The next time something happens, you're like, man, I had that experience already. My body can't take it. Your soul can't take it either, right? And I think listening to the soul is one of the hardest things for humans. We don't trust the soul. And the soul is the one thing that came from God, right? Your body was made on earth. The soul is already from God, right? And so, let me see if I can get my glasses clean. I'm never ready. So tarot class will begin, and if you want a reading with me, I am available today. 213-458-7408. 213-458-7408. What is your soul telling you to do? All right? So, I'm going to start at the top of the paragraph, but we end it at the frustration and anxiety comes from not listening to your soul. Hi, sweets. How are you? Before I start, how are you feeling? How's your body holding up? Let me know how you're feeling as I begin the paragraph. The soul is very clear that its purpose is evolution. The soul knows what it's meant to do because that's its sole purpose. SOLE. And its sole purpose. SOUL. Imagine having something that knows it's just supposed to do this. So let's do it another way. Imagine being born and being in your mama's arms, and your body knows it's supposed to do one thing, and that's grow. Right? Your body does it automatically. It just grows. Of course, we get excited by looking at the size of a baby and going, oh, is he 4 months? I could tell. Is he 18 months? Oh, look at that, 18 months, I could tell. But your body is doing the job it was designed to do, always. And I tell everyone else who says, when I say to people, how are you feeling? And they go, blessed, I'm alive. And I go, well, no. Alive is automatic. Your body knows no other thing but to wake up. So, you're not alive just because God made you alive. God designed you to become alive because you never died in the night. God designed you to wake up and feel alive. So imagine that your body knows to just grow from infancy. It's automatic, doesn't think about it. Invest in teaching the organs, the skin cells to expand automatically. Your body does this automatically. So imagine your soul understanding that its only purpose here is evolution. It's profound. It's not concerned with the achievements of the body or the development of the mind. Interesting. These are meaningless to the soul. The soul is also clear that there is no great tragedy involved in leaving the body. In many ways, the tragedy is being in the body. So you have to understand the soul sees his whole death thing differently. Let me answer this question. The soul is very clear that it's. Oh, wait, let me change that. The soul is very clear that the purpose is evolution. That is sole purpose, and that it is its sole purpose and its sole purpose. It is not concerned with the achievements of the body or the development of the mind. These are meaningless to the soul. The soul is also clear that there's no greater tragedy involved in leaving the body. In many ways, a tragedy is being in the body. So you have to understand the soul sees the whole death thing differently. It, of course, sees the whole life thing differently too. And that is the source of much frustration and anxiety one feels in one's life. The frustration and anxiety comes from not listening to your soul. Hey, Devin. And Neil says, how can I best listen to my soul? If the soul is the boss, really, how can I make sure I get those memos from the front office? The first thing you might do is get clear about what the soul is after and stop making judgments about it. I'm making judgments about my own soul constantly. I just showed you how you judge yourself for wanting to die. You also judge yourself for wanting to live, truly live. You judge yourself for wanting to laugh, wanting to cry. wanting to win, wanting to lose, wanting to experience joy and love, especially do you judge yourself for that, wanting to experience joy and love? Listen, guys, listen, the one thing I notice that people don't want to. You don't want to truly live, right? I spoke to a little girl yesterday. I don't know how old she is. And I've had her for a client for maybe about a year now, however long she's been in her situation. Maybe, I think it might have been for 2 years. I've never seen anyone be in a bad situation and understand it, except me, and understand the time that it's required to be in a bad situation. She doesn't call to vent and cry and be upset. Not that you can't. I'm telling you, she's been in a bad situation. And with restrictions and rules, and she gets up and she goes to work every day, and she's finding her placement finally, like she's going to school. And she just figured that out. But inside her voice, it's like, I don't know if it's happy or not a care in the world. It's hard to describe when someone is going through something, but still pushes through internally. Her soul pushes through. You know, and all I kept saying to her was, I'm so proud of you. She's not out of her situation by no means. I said to her, I'm so proud of you. You know? And I was just proud of her to be proud of her. I didn't want to give her a reason. I just wanted to say, I'm so proud of you. And I realized what I was proud of is that she was listening to her soul. She was giving herself safe moments. She wasn't worried about the care of others or what anybody thought. She knew she was giving herself safe moments. This safe moment is turning into over a year. But at least when she put her head down at night, it was safe for her. And because she understood that, she was waking up happy, going to work happy. I was just so proud of her. And I was just proud because of the soul, the fact that she was operating anyways. Right? You know, once we read The Alchemist, and this is what she is doing, is reminding me of The Alchemist. And there's a journey to Mecca. And once you begin this journey, you can't turn around. And this is back in the day when they had like horse and buggies. And so once you begin this journey, you can't turn around. And so at some point, you're in the middle of your journey. And even if you wanted to turn around, you're stuck having to complete the journey. And this is a journey not everybody takes, right? Because when you go to Mecca, it's because your soul is asking for you to make this experience, for you to change everything that you've ever done in your life. And this kid, I forget what his name is. I have the book here, but I don't feel like getting up. Knew that his soul needed to get to Mecca. And when you're in the middle of a desert, there's nothing else. And you wake up in the morning after getting a night's sleep, and it's a whole like pilgrimage, a whole bunch of people are there. You wake up and all you could think is, I've gotta get back on the road. And another 8 hours could go by and you're nowhere. period. I don't know how long it took back in the day, but I can't imagine that it took 2 weeks on a horse and buggy. And that's a short trip to elevate your soul. And this little girl is having months of elevating her soul, but understanding, or maybe not understanding, but organically knowing that she is elevating her soul in a safe environment. She's working, she's saving her money. Like, I was so proud of her. Yeah, I am proud of her. And only today is she starting to think about achievements and starting a program in school and wanting to start a program that's meaningful to her. Yeah, I don't know, it's beautiful. In any case, how can I best listen to my soul? If the soul is the boss, really, how can I make sure I get those memos from the front? The first thing you might do is get clear about what the soul is after and stop making judgments. I'm making judgments about my own soul, says Neil. Constantly, says God. I just showed you how you judge yourself for wanting to die. You also judge yourself for wanting to live, truly live. You judge yourself for wanting to cry, wanting to laugh, wanting to win, wanting to lose, for wanting to experience joy and love. Especially do you judge yourself for wanting to experience joy and love. And Neil goes, I do? Somewhere you've come across the idea that to deny yourself joy is godly, that not to celebrate life is heavenly. Denial, you have told yourself, is goodness. Neil goes, are you saying that's bad? It's neither good nor bad. It's simply denial. If you feel good about denying yourself, then in your world, that is good. If you feel bad, then it's badness. Most of the times, you can't decide. You deny yourself this or that because you tell yourself you're supposed to. Then you say that was a good thing to do, but wonder why you don't feel good about it. And so the first thing you do is stop making these judgments against yourself. Learn what is the soul's desire and go after that. Right? What is the soul's desire? I mean, when I see people, Tuesday I was in the at Frederickstead, and there was a whole big group in the water, a bunch of kids too. I think I need to go swimming with the children, scuba diving. And I'm saying if I were to go scuba diving, I'd have to go with the children because I don't know how to scuba dive. And all I could think was when I was watching them is that how happy that must be. That those kids must have said, I need to scuba dive. And then the body gets in the water. The mind says, I want to. The body gets in the water, but the soul is having an experience. That's what I was thinking without really thinking it. I'm saying that right now. And I thought, what a beautiful thing to want to do something, to get to do it, to accomplish that. And what if that accomplishment, that class, leads to something so much bigger? Because it can and it will. Right? And so the first thing to do is stop making these judgments against yourself. Learn what is the soul's desire and go with that. Go with the soul. I fucking love that. I love this part. Go with the soul. I need to do a whole segment on your soul's journey on YouTube. Go with the soul. What the soul is after is the highest feeling of love you can imagine. This is the soul's desire. Then its purpose. The soul is after the feeling. I didn't know that. Not knowing, but feeling. Not knowing something, right? So imagine if a doctor knows he wants to be a doctor and he goes through the education process, right? Gets out of medical school. And then I don't think you pick up practice until you're out of medical school. You do your intern at the hospital, and then you start to figure out and talk to the lead doctors, and you say, I want to be in cardiology. I want to be in pediatrics, right? Learn what the soul's desire and go with that. And so you decide to be the same cardiology, pediatrics. Way too easy. Let's say it's cardiology. And by the way, this story I'm about to tell you, it actually happened to my dad. And you're an expert, right? Go in, do heart stuff, put in the pacemaker, seal the patient up, let the patient know that the pacemaker will actually outlive them. But if it doesn't, it can always be replaced. But just, I'm good, right? Shabbat shalom. Hi, Jacqueline. But you're done. You tie the patient up. You might, not might, but you should, as a doctor, go back and check on the patient in 24 hours. But you also have a team of people. You know, how you doing? Patient sitting up, normal pain for heart surgery. He says, yeah, that's normal, but you look good. You check your vitals. Your vitals are good. The doctor's out. The doctor's out. And every once in a while, this becomes routine. Every once in a while, the doctor winds up with the heart as they're putting in a pacemaker, and the heart says, "Yeah, I'm not doing this with you all. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna stop beating." Right? And the doctor, who's an expert, 4 years of this, 4 years of that, 4 years of this, 2 years of interning, and then has done all these surgeries and pacemaker, he could do it with his eyes closed, winds up with a heart that says, yeah, I'm not doing that. I know you're good, but no. What I want to tell you is that the heart, the beating heart, in that moment is teaching the doctor something. But we don't know this, right? Because we don't know how God operates, right? But when this particular heart says, yeah, doc, I'm not doing this. I'm out. And I'm taking this body with me. The heart is teaching the expert doctor something. And the doctor realizes that in all his expertise and all of his routine of putting in pacemakers, he's got a problem. And it's a big problem. And the first thing he has to do is not make a judgment about the problem, meaning the heart is giving out and it's above me. This is above me. This heart is bigger than me. The doctor doesn't say that. I'm putting this as an example of what a doctor might say. This situation is bigger than me. I cannot save this man because I've never had this experience. So I can't pull out my superpowers. I'm going to judge myself, and I'm not going to do this. But But then the doctor's soul says, oh no, you can do this. The mind might say, it's bigger than me, I can't. The soul goes, no, you have a relationship now with the heart. Notice I said a relationship, not a competition. You have a relationship now with the heart. The heart doesn't know that it can do this. So you have to go back in and tell the heart, we can do this. We can beat it in. And this is my dad's story. And so what do? They, of course, paddle the poor man's heart. I think my dad was, because my dad was black and blue. So I think he had already been sewn up when the heart said, I'm not doing this. And so they paddle the poor man and paddle him and paddle him. Boom, he comes back to life. And my dad always says he had 2 birthdays. His original birthday was May 15th. And his second birthday was June 19th. Right? 50 years later. And so it's in that moment where the doctor had the soul, right? The fear, the mind, the body was stuck. But the soul remembered it had a job for the doctor. And the soul began to recognize there was a new relationship. And the relationship was not with my dad. The relationship was with the heart. The very thing that he opens and closes every day. This one was a sick puppy. This one just couldn't do it. And he went back in. Once he recognized, once his soul kicked in, and he recognized, I can save you, heart. We can do this. And he went to pounding, and he brings my dad back to life. And true story, my dad walked out of the hospital in 2 days. True story. So the doctor saving his life was meaningful. Something was not done. Something was not finished. That my dad had to finish. But I don't know this. The doctor doesn't know this. My dad doesn't know this. The heart knew, and the doctor's soul knew. You know? Because my dad didn't linger in the hospital for a week. You're like, okay, we're checking your vitals. You're still not up to par. My dad's body kicked right back in. Period. And he walked out of CCU. Not a step-down unit, CCU. He just told them, he's like, gotta go. And his vitals were so good, they couldn't stop him. They were like, oh, actually, we'd like to keep you for another 3 to 4 days, but yeah, you might as well go. Go with the soul. I became a psychic because my soul needed to be in this world. I did not know in my 20s what it meant. I had no idea. I just knew I was making candles, and that felt good. That felt good. And then I started making candles because my son was going on auditions, and I started making candles to make sure he would be seen over anybody else, and that worked. And I was like, oh, there's something going on here with these candles. And then I started making candles for money. to the point where the whole neighborhood was like, "Can you make me a candle, child? Because I'm hearing you make that." I was like, "Yeah, I can make candles." I didn't know what any of this was going to do, was going to lead to. I had no idea. Some of you are nurses, right? Like, healing is your jam. Helping others, being on the floor, participating in the whole process of healing. That's your jam. Some of you can pass a nursing test and not think about it. Some of you struggle, but you're still trying to get through. It's your jam. It's your soul's purpose. Some of you are teachers. Sometimes you can understand it better with teachers. Like, oh, what are you going to be? I'm going to be a teacher. Like, we understand that. Like, that's easy to understand, right? Because you're developing young minds. Although, side note, there's a shortage of teachers since COVID, as there should be. No teachers should go to school and wonder if somebody's going to come in and shoot up the school. So, there should be a shortage of teachers in America. Because if there's not, government won't listen, right? So, and again, that's your soul. Again, let's talk about the soul that changes its mind. I want to be a teacher, like superhero. Ooh, teacher, yeah. Oh, you're a teacher. Oh, you're graduating as a teacher. This is so amazing. Blah, 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 blah. One school shooting too many. Your soul changes its mind. Your soul says, get out. Get out. No explanation needed. You are going to start saying, I used to be a teacher. And don't judge that. Don't judge yourself. Get out. Because we're living in a world where kindness, it's not being taught. And sitting ducks, not my jam. For no teacher, no student. So when your soul says, not today, Jesus, quit. Quit nursing, quit teaching, quit being an engineer, working for companies, and I don't mean engineers, I mean all of you, working for companies that still want to treat you like 2019, quit. Let them figure it out. I was watching, which I love watching documentaries on YouTube, and San Francisco is messed up since COVID. Messed up. They have a huge homeless problem. And I find it amazing that the homeless problem is growing quicker than government can say, let me put you in housing. Let me get you some mental health. Oh, one cup. Too many cups here. And slowly but surely, businesses pulled out of San Francisco. This is since the COVID. So what used to be a tourist attraction, just bubbly. I've been to San Francisco twice. I'm telling you, it is beautiful down there. A little colder than I'm used to in Southern California. It is beautiful in San Francisco. I mean, the trolleys, the people. It's a little New York to me. And now it's looking like a ghost town. And when the government had the monies to fix the homeless problem, but chose not to use monies to fix the homeless problem, not to be aggressive about it, San Francisco is dying. Just dying. The other city it's going to die, San Francisco's smaller, right? 1/4 the size of Los Angeles. Los Angeles is going to die. They cannot put a grasp on the homeless problem. And when they do try to attack it, right, because I was part of the homeless team in Los Angeles, it takes them years to set up a program, decide to build a homeless building instead of purchasing a building that's already established. It takes years. And while you're developing a building, the homeless problem grows every day. Instead of telling landlords, whatever you do, don't raise the rent. Don't do that. They don't talk to the landlords. And boom, homeless has grown. Vast and wide. And then, you guys don't know this, because you have to be in a state with all their different rules. In California, if you have a building, I'm trying to see if you have a building or even a home now that I'm thinking about it. Let's stay with buildings. If someone owns a building, your building you own, your sidewalk belongs to the city. And the other side of the sidewalk, the city says you have to mow the grass on the other side of the city. But if a homeless man decides to live on the other side of the sidewalk, you can't do anything about it because you don't own that part. The city owns the part. So you have a building, you have the sidewalk, and the other side of the sidewalk before the street is a strip of grass. A homeless can come along, live in front of your building, and you cannot tell him to leave because you, the owner, the manager, cannot tell the homeless person where to live if it's city property. Go figure. But the city says you have to mow that part. You have to maintenance that part. But if a homeless person comes along, you have to maintenance around him. Because you cannot tell him to leave. It's just crazy shit out there. I just thought I'd share that with you. Learn what is the soul's desire and go with that. And I know a lot of you are confused with the soul's desires. What is the soul wanting to do? And we get so confused with that. The soul wants love. And then when the soul gets rejected from someone, then we think our soul wants the person. That's not true. Your mind wants the person, not your soul. Because the other person's soul understands that you can't go on this journey with them any longer. You see how this works? So when someone says, I need to go, I need to separate, I need a divorce, I need you to get out of my house, it's that person's soul that finally understood this isn't the one. Goodbye. So when you start stalking or being too upset, right, to the point of depression, right, there's a part in your soul that doesn't want this to end. But you believe it's your soul. It isn't. It's your mind that can't take the rejection. You become in pain, and the pain gets elongated. Some people, they start stalking. They start acting crazy. They start banging on doors. They start showing up at work. You go to Starbucks. God damn, you're here. You know, shit like that. If someone's soul understands that this needs to end, let the soul be. respect that decision that someone's soul made about your relationship. Don't try to change someone's soul. Because when it comes down to you wanting to be in a different place and you're in a relationship and you want to go, you're going to want to be able to go. I love you. I'm glad I had this experience. I gotta go. What the soul is after is this: the highest feeling of love you can imagine. That's the soul's desire. That's so broad. And I know a lot of you are having a hard time understanding that because the conception of love is varied in our minds. It's not love through a person, right? I've learned not to be happy. Oh, wait, how do I put it? I've learned I'm happy in spite of not having a relationship. And people don't understand that. And I know people, my own son and his daughter-in-law, my daughter-in-law, they don't get it. They don't get it. They don't get that when I meet someone, the qualities of the man is not what I'm looking for. I'm not looking to say I got a man, right? I'm looking for that soul's connection. And it's, I don't know, it's vast and wide. I don't know what color I'm looking for the man in, right? And, but when I go out on dates, I recognize, like, I listen to my damn soul. And when my soul goes, ugh, I'm so bored. This man is my age and have not have a life experience. I'm bored. And I don't want to hear all the stories about your mama, when you're 60 something. I don't want to hear it. I want to hear how you operated since your childhood. I didn't have the best childhood. You guys know this. I've been very vocal about it. But I love knowing that I found a way. Most times I found a way by myself, right? I found a way out. So I don't want to start dating somebody. Well, you have to date to figure it out. But dating someone and, you know, over dinner, it's like, oh, and then my mom, she wasn't the best mom. It's like, oh, thank you. Are you the best person since your mom? Like, come on. I don't say that. I just like, oh, and in my mind, I'm thinking, get me out of here, Jesus. Beam me up, Scotty. Because this ain't the one. This is not the one. And my soul knows it. And my soul's going to be unhappy. And I also can't have sex with someone that my soul already knows is not the one. You know what I mean? Like, all right. That's just me. Don't listen to me. What the soul is after is the highest feeling of love it can imagine. What does that look like to you? That's a question that somebody needs to answer. What is the highest feeling of love you can imagine? Have you thought about that? Ever? Well, let's process that. What is the highest feeling of love you can imagine? Now remember, this is not a test. This is your life. What do you want to do? And it doesn't have to be extraordinary. It doesn't have to be your career. Do you want to scuba dive? Oh, Tracy, I always wanted to like a bungee jump. All right, do it. Find the place where you can bungee jump. Do it. I'm never bungee jumping, people. It's not my highest feeling of love. But going to Africa is. Getting to Africa, that's my highest. I gotta get to Africa. And I say that with like this insatiable appetite inside my soul. It feels like dinner to me, this feeling, because I love dinner, by the way. I love food, right? But dinner is like, oh my God. It, it feels like that. If I were to equate it to something, it feels like a good dinner. The need to get to Africa. I've got to get to Africa. I know this now. I had the same feeling before I came to the Caribbean. Before I came to the Caribbean, for 2 years, I watched HGTV Caribbean Life. For 2 years. For an hour, half-hour episodes. I was ready. I was in bed by 10 o'clock. It was such a beautiful thing. By the way, I got to switch my bedtime to 10 o'clock. I don't like going to bed at 12. In any case, side note, and I would watch Caribbean Life, and after a while, I would say, God, I don't find that fair. How come they get to buy homes here? You know, I want to, I didn't know, like, I was like, I want to go to the Caribbean. And when the opportunity presented itself, I had one chance. I didn't know this though. I had one chance. And I could have held on to the money because I wound up in a car accident. They paid for the whole value of the car. COVID had just happened, so this was brand new to everyone. There was the depreciation they might have gave me was maybe $300. The full value of the car they gave me, cash, in the middle of COVID. And I think they did that because it was so brand new that the insurance people, had a lot of cases that they needed to close out when normally they would procrastinate for 1,000 reasons. They needed to clear their books out. And I was the newest one just before COVID, and they were like, this is the money we're going to give you. I was like, okay. So I took the money and I sat it in the bank. And the one thing I heard my soul say, which was probably God, was don't spend it. Don't spend that money. And by the grace of God, you couldn't spend it, right? Everything was closed. So the only thing I did, you guys don't know this, is that I have an assistant who, and his wife, and they have a child, and I've always taken care of them. I brag about it, but you guys haven't heard me mention them in such a long time because they have been so much better. By the way, since COVID, they have been amazing. But at the time in COVID, I worried about who had enough food in their house. So I called the wife and I said, meet me at Ralph's, which is our version of Kroger's. And Kroger's owns Ralph's. I said, meet me at Ralph's, because Uber was still operating. And I must have bought her $300 worth of food and did not care. Did not care. And then one of my son's friends, what if I called him over at the same time? I don't think so. I called him over separate. And I said, shop and get what you want. And he heard me. He got what he wanted. His was about $200. And my son and his wife, during COVID, I would just take care of them via Amazon. So if the baby needed diapers, I had an order where the Amazon order would just automatically refill. I was worried about their health, so I would send over elderberry syrup. I would send over vitamin D3, and all of this would be on repeat, right? If my son needed money, I would give, but I was very cautious. I might have spent $1,000 total the minute I got the money. But everything else was saved. In any case, I listened to God when He said, "Don't spend it," and then Spirit was like, I said to Spirit, I said, "How come everybody gets to go to the Caribbean when that's the one place I want to go?" And I heard Spirit say, "Oh, we're not stopping you." And I was like, "What?" And Spirit was like, "You have the money." And I was like, "Huh?" The ignorance of it all, right? I'm sitting on a stash. And I'm like, not recognizing that I could do something. I could actually do something. And so I decided, let me start checking into hotels in the Caribbean. I'm so glad I didn't stay at a hotel. That's the one thing that makes me happy. I did not stay at a hotel. A hotel would have cost me $1,000 for the week. But an Airbnb, I spent the same amount of money, and I think it was under it. No, I think it. Oh, it was under 1,000. I think it was 700 for the month, right? And I said to God, "Do you think I could go for a month, like a whole month?" By the way, this was in the middle of COVID, and I heard God say, "No one is stopping you." So I booked that ticket. I booked it for June, right? Doesn't make sense. I don't know why I chose June. This was in March. I booked it for June. I think I got the Airbnb first for the month, booked my tickets, and by the way, because I had enough money, I had never gone first first class. I booked a business class. It was so cheap because nobody was flying. I mean, God was so good. Business class was cheap. It was less than 1,000 round trip. I tickle black about it because I'm like, normally I would never be able to go business class. Um, yeah, it was nice. And then I get here thinking I'm just gonna come for a month and go home. And I said to God, the week I was coming, I hadn't left yet, and I said, "God, if it could be possible, if I could look for a place to live, and you are allowing that, can you make it easy? Please, God. If I can make it easy." I didn't know if it was possible, nor did I care. I had a beautiful home in California. It wasn't it wasn't a thing. It wasn't worry. But I was like, but if you can, I would I would I would I would relocate, please. The Airbnb that I took is inside a complex. The apartment that I took was inside, is inside the same complex. God can't make that more easier. He couldn't have, and I was like, oh my God, am I staying? And so when I talked to the landlord, he knew I wasn't coming back till September. But then all of a sudden, I was afraid that he was going to rent out my apartment, or when I got back, he would say no. And so I called him up and I said, let's talk. And this is something my dad would do. I said, let's talk. And I said, I'm going to pay for June and July, on top of the money I already gave him for September and 1 month's rent, right? I said, I'm going to pay for July and August. And just in case something goes wrong, I'm going to pay through September. Meaning, I wasn't sure if through November. Meaning, I wasn't sure if I was going to come back in September. I didn't know this was going to be a thing. I didn't know if my son was going to stop me. I didn't know if there was going to be any drama, like preventing me. And again, God made the transition amazing. Amazing. Not to my liking, and that's a whole nother story I don't want to get into right now. But He made it so I understood this has to be. You have to go now. And there's not going to be a single thing stopping you. My son couldn't stop me because of circumstances surrounding leaving. He had no say in it. Like when God said, you gotta go, He meant it. And so He put up a barrier around me to make sure the only thing I knew was that I had to go. And the way it was done, it was actually kind of very sad, you know? And so getting here was effortless because I just had to get here. However way God designed it, my soul, getting back to the book, my soul understand that my feet needed to land here. The why after my soul, I think I'm just discovering that. But it took 2 years to figure that shit out. I think I'm just discovering it, and I still don't know if this is what it is, but at least information is coming through now for me to understand why I landed here. But my soul knew I had to get here. And my soul could not tell me the future. My soul knew this is where I need to be. The same way I feel like I got to get to Africa. I don't want to live in Africa, but I got to get to Africa. I wouldn't mind living in Africa for 3 months, though, and then coming back. I wouldn't mind that, having a full experience. But for right now, I'll go to Africa for 2 weeks. In any case, what is your soul? What's the highest feeling of love you can imagine? Because being here on this land, the highest feeling of love is from God, not a human being. It's from God. Like, I was talking to one of my coworkers, and we literally look out at a vast ocean when we go to work. It's a literal thing. And even as I'm telling you, the feeling that I get, and I'm like, look at the colors of the sea. It's so beautiful. And you get these seagulls that are now showing up for me, although my boss says seagulls are a thing, period, but I didn't notice them when I first got there. But now these seagulls are constantly showing up. And it's just so beautiful. It's so beautiful to recognize from my soul's eyes. Wow, I'm here for a reason. Like, this is beautiful. And taking a moment to feel the highest feeling of love you can imagine. I feel it through the sea. I look out my front door, although I'm high up on a hill. The sea is everywhere. I can't even imagine moving somewhere and not seeing the sea. I don't need to be on the water, but you have a hurricane, knock your house down. I don't know how some of these people's homes withstand any hurricanes, but it just depends upon the wind. It doesn't matter. I get all lost in thought. The point to you is, today, in spite of having some personal issues in my family. Today, I am so happy. I am so happy. Wow. Yeah. What's the highest feeling of love you can imagine? All right. What the soul is after, back to the book, is the highest feeling of love you can imagine. This is the soul's desire. This is its purpose. The soul is after the feeling, not the knowledge, but the feeling. Do you guys get that? The soul is after the feeling, not the knowledge, but the feeling. It already has the knowledge, but knowledge is conceptual. Feeling is experiential. The soul wants to feel itself, and thus to know itself in its own experience. Oh, I think I get it now. I'm here to feel this experience. Oh, oh, okay, I got you, got it. The highest feeling is the experience of unity with all that is. The highest feeling is the experience of unity with all that is. This is the great return to truth for which the soul yearns. This is the feeling of perfect love. So, I'm here and I'm having an experience of unity with what? The birds, the lizards, these ridiculous moths, big moths that keep coming through. I now call them the skinny lizards. I don't know if they're lizards. I still get confused. Louis. So I tell the Louis, please stop coming into my house. You're not safe in my house. I don't want this. Right? But it's kind of cute how they kind of look at you and how they can kind of hear you. Because before they were just coming in, and I was like, this is unacceptable because at some point I'm just going to kill you all. I mean it. And then I decided to start talking to them. And I was like, listen, you're not invited in my house. You have many homes to go to. Choose not to come in mine. And lo and behold, they stopped coming in. Because I threatened to kill every single one of them. Although I have to tell you, I wouldn't. But I threatened it. So the energy is palpable. And so now I look at the Louis, and they're always by my front door trying to sneak in. And I go, Louis, no. No, Louis. You're not invited in my house. And they challenge. They kind of like look at you and like, me? Yes, Louis, you. Go. Go, 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 go. And they stop coming in my house. Thank God. Because I can't. I'm just sitting here and a Louis just pops up. This is the great return to truth for which the soul yearns. This is the feeling of perfect love. All right. God is making it so much difficult to understand. Perfect love is to feeling what perfect white is to color. Maybe think that white is the absence of color. It is not. It is the inclusion of all color. White is every other color that exists combined. I never knew white to be I knew black to be every other color. If you take your Crayola and you cover over, you're going to wind up with black. If you take each color and cover over each other, you're going to wind up with black. I didn't know white did that. According to God, white is that too. So too is love, not the absence of an emotion. Hatred, anger, lust, jealousy, perverseness. But the summation of all feeling is the sum total, the aggregate amount, the everything. Thus, for the soul to experience perfect love, it must experience every human feeling. Oh, wow. Oh, wow, that's deep. Perfect love is to feeling, okay, so too is love the absence of an emotion. Thus, for the soul to experience perfect love, did you guys know that? Thus, for the soul to experience perfect love, it must experience every human emotion. Really? So, you must feel hatred, anger, lust. Lust is my favorite. Jealousy, covertiousness. I don't know what covertiousness means. Covert. Covert? What time? 11? Okay. Thank you so much. Hold on. Thank you so much. Nothing in between 12 and 2, please. Okay. But 3, 3:30, 4, 4:30. Okay. Perfect love is a feeling. Perfect. Okay. Thus, for the soul to experience perfect love, it must experience every human feeling. Oh, I was looking up covertiousness. Sorry if I don't know the meaning of words. Sorry. Covert. Ourness. Oh, covertiousness meaning. A strong wish to have something, especially something that belongs to someone else. I know. You see, that's why I try to tell people. Nobody gets it. Covert, covertuousness. I never heard that word before. A strong feeling to have something, especially something that belongs to someone else. Right? So everyone thinks that cheating is a bad thing. We've talked about this before, right? Cheating is not a bad thing. It's a feeling, right? And sometimes we act on those feelings. But it's not a bad thing, right? Although in the commandments it said, "Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife." But it also said thy neighbor. It didn't say in another. I'm kidding. I'm kidding, God. The commandments are there by way of discipline. But if it happens, is it a bad thing? Maybe, right? Maybe. Because the feelings that you get when you're cheating, it's exciting, and you're doing it against someone, and the person doesn't know, and so lying comes into it. You have to lie when you cheat. It's hilarious. But is it a bad thing? Is cheating a bad thing when our everyday experience, you and I both lie? Think about it. how is cheating so bad when you spend your whole days going about your days lying to people, to your neighbors? Do you get what I'm trying to say? He that throws the first stone. So, some people cheat when they know the relationship is ended. And so you hold someone hostage. And what do you think is going to happen? Cheating's going to occur. When sometimes you just should open the door and say to the person, I get it. Take your freedom. And I tell this story all the time. I once met a little girl, and I don't know how I asked the question, but I must have said, "Who are you?" Which is a phrase that I use often, but I must have said it to her, and she goes, "I am a product of an affair." And I said to her, "Can I get up and hug you? Because you're designed to be here by way of an affair. Because there's no greater love." But an affair is the greatest of love. Because that kind of love in a sneak, of course you're going to make the perfect child. Because it was love, real, insatiable love in that moment. And I don't know who this woman is. I don't know if she's listening to my podcast ever. This was like maybe 20 years ago when I met her, and she was in her young 20s, and I was just like, go about this world proudly, because you were made from love. I hope I had an impact on her. I don't know if I did, but I hope I did. All right. Where are we? Thus for the soul to experience perfect love, it must experience every human feeling. Hatred, anger, lust, jealousy, covetousness. I didn't say act on it. I said you must feel it. Half the times y'all don't feel guilty when you're angry, right? When you hate someone, you don't feel guilty. And God is saying these are emotions that are human emotions, and you're allowed to have them. Because without having them, you don't get to perfect love. I did not know that. I'm going to enjoy my anger. I'm trying to get to perfect love, and I cannot get there unless I enjoy anger and lust. I can lust and jealousy. I've learned to manage my jealousy, though. I've learned to say when I'm jealous of something, because that's a feeling that sometimes you can't stop, it just shows up. And I've learned to say, I wish I could have whatever that is. And it makes me feel better when I say something, because once I say I wish I could have, it's not far from me. Do you guys hear the birds? It's so pretty. How can I have compassion on that which I don't understand? Oh, I was just talking about this yesterday. How can I forgive in another that which I have never experienced in myself? So we see both the simplicity and the awesome magnitude of the soul's journey. We understand at last what the soul is up to. The purpose of the human soul is to experience all of it so that it can be all of it. So I tell everyone, being a reader, a psychic reader, and I promise you, I wondered, I was like, why am I not a therapist? Why am I a psychic reader? Because as a therapist, I would be limited to the quality of people that come to me. I would be limited. There's a certain category of people that go to therapists. As a psychic, everybody comes to me. Everybody. I get the gamut of personalities that come to me. And I tell everyone, I've had every experience that you have had in terms of relationships, in terms of parental, in terms of best friends, right? Um, but I used to say I've never been a waitress and I've never been a prostitute. And I don't want to be a prostitute, God. Nope. I don't need that experience to understand how hurtful that is. That I get. I think I was a prostitute in a past life. So I think my sexual escapades in this life is part of what I am honing in. Calming, like in this life, I don't need to spread them wide and go low. In this life, I think in a past life, I swear to God, I think I had fun. I believe that. Um, and now I've been a waitress, so I'm like, okay, now I understand getting that dream out. I don't have high expectations, guys. But every other experience that you guys have had, every other emotion, right up until the time I relocated here, I yet had an experience with emotions that I thought, what the hell is this? What the hell is this? Why am I still having experiences? And I can only say that without all of these experiences, I don't think I would help people. I don't think I would be good at my job if I didn't have some of the experiences that you all have had when you call me. How can I have, back to the book, how can I have compassion on that which I don't understand? How can I forgive in another that which I've never experienced in myself? So we see both the simplicity and the awesome magnitude of the soul's journey. We understand at last what it is up to. The purpose of the human soul is to experience all of it so that it can be all of it. All right, guys, I think I'm going to stop here because as we go on, it just starts a whole new thing. We didn't get very far today because there's a lot to talk about, a lot to experience. I'm not worried about finishing the book. I'm having an experience with you. I'm having perfect love with you. So it's never going to be about, oh, Tracy, God, you just never finished that book. We're not supposed to finish the book. We are supposed to come together to have a soul's experience. That's what we're doing. We're having a soul's experience. And since your soul has to have an experience every day anyway, I am just less than 1% of your experience. It's constant, never to go away until God says, Tracy, come with me. Don't cry for me, Argentina. All right. I love you guys. Thank you. I have something to do, and I promised some people that I would do it. So I'm going to have an experience with people for a little bit. I love you guys. I thank you for putting up with me. I thank you for this experience. I thank you for the perfect love in this perfect experience in YouTube. You can't get better than this. You cannot get better than this. One day I said to God, I'd like to teach. And God said no. And I was like, oh God, I guess you didn't hear me. I'd like to teach. And God was like, no. And so I just went about my business, doing my psychic readings, and wondering, like, why can I teach? But I stopped questioning and I just went about my business doing psychic readings. And lo and behold, the opportunity came to present my psychic readings on YouTube. That experience led to teaching. That experience led to reading books every Saturday. So I got what I want. And it might have taken me years to get there, but the years to get there was up to me, not up to God. God said no because he had a format that was better for me. Whereas if I would have started teaching out of the store, which was my first impression, I would have been confined, physically confined. And Lord God wanted me to have an expansion of people to teach. All right, I'm out. June 23rd, tarot class. Be there if you want to have the experience of breaking the cycle, because that's all I do in tarot class. I break the cycle. So come enjoy tarot class. September 23rd is when it starts. Contact me, Tracy Brown Live at Gmail. All right, Tracy Brown Live at Gmail. Thanks, guys. I love you. Thank you for today. Take it easy.
Gals and guys, go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Gals and guys, go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Gals and guys, go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Gals and guys, go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live.